Okay. So is this group, are we also taking peds and med surge too, for the most part?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay. And I always like to ask, are we coming from another class just now, or are we going to another class after this class?
For me, neither.
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
my
the only
first-
class for me today.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm agree.
I always like
Port
to
St.
check.
Lucy's going to another class.
Port St. Lucie goes to another class right after this. Okay. I always like to check that out to make sure if you need a break when you first come on, if you just come from a class, or if you're going to another class, making sure I finish a couple of minutes early so you guys can catch a break or do what you need to do for a few minutes. Okay. Yeah, we have a full class, 25 students. So I always like when we interact with other campuses as well. I think that's great. I'm just still letting people in here. So while we're waiting for everybody to join, for those of you that are joining just in the last few minutes, if you could put your name and your campus in the chat, I would really appreciate it. That'd be great. So I am Kathleen Marvel, Professor Marvel. I've been at Fortis. My instructor page is updated. So I've been at Fortis for a couple of years. This is my 8th term, I believe, but teaching in the RN program all the way through. And then last term, I started in the PN program as well. I'm the course lead for the community PN program. So I'm still teaching up in the RN program and in the PN program. So feel free to read my bio. Love what I'm doing here. I've had all kinds of nursing. I'll be a nurse for 40 years in May. So I started out as a military nurse in the Navy and then went into hospitals, NICU, and was a director of women's and children's services at a big hospital in Denver for about 18 years. And then I just recently retired from school nursing. I was a school nurse consultant in a large district in Colorado. So, and now I'm in education and really, really love it. So really love it. So I'm really enjoying my job here with Fortis, and yeah, it's all good. There's several people that just came in the last couple of minutes. So if you guys would not mind putting your name and your campus in the chat, I would greatly appreciate it. That's how I take attendance. And then everybody's camera needs to be on, please. Have you had your PEDS or Med-Surg course this week and already reviewed the orientation PowerPoint, or is this the first time?
Cookville has.
Okay. Has anybody not seen the orientation PowerPoint? Okay. We'll go through it. My plan is to spend the first part of the class going through the orientation PowerPoint, and then the second part of the class going through the module, the course shell, and talking a little bit about the class. And then as far as content for this week, you already have your PowerPoints and the readings assigned. I'll do a recorded lecture for the content and send it out to you. Okay, so you won't miss the content. And that's what happens in, I'm gonna, everybody mute themselves, please. That'd be great. Okay. But come off mute anytime you want to ask questions. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. So we'll spend the first part orientation, second part going through the course shell, and then any questions you might have. The recordings. You'll be getting recordings for weeks 1, which is this week of content. And then obviously I'll have to do a recorded lecture for our exam weeks, which are weeks 3, 6, and 9. Okay. So just to start off, what have you guys heard about community? What do you know about community nursing? What have you heard about this class?
Well, this is my second time taking it with you. It's not
Welcome
something
back.
that thank you. It's not a class to take lightly. I think the first time I took it, I was more worried about the other classes that I was taking and thought that this would be somewhat of a breeze, but it's not. It can be easy. This is to everyone. This can be an interesting class. You have to study. You don't think that you can just pass without studying. You have to study, and that's for any class. But community, if you take it for granted, you will end up failing, and failing by if you need a 78 to pass, you'll end up failing 77.9. So you really have to get it going.
Jean is my spokesman. Jean, awesome. So that's what Jean learned. First time around. So I am well aware that we are well aware this is a 2-credit class. We have built the class around, the amount of hours. But as Jean has heard me say before, this is a different class. Okay, this is where we start. This is why you have this in your 7th. We're in our 7th term, right? So this is where we start pulling everything together. Okay, we start pulling together our fundamentals, our med-surg, our peds, our geriatrics, pharmacology. It all pulls together in community. This is why this class is taken at the end or towards the end, because in community, you're taking care of people all across the lifespan, right? In community, we consider our clients, whether they're individuals, whether they're families, whether they're a subset of the population, let's say a vulnerable population, homeless, substance abuse, or you might be caring for the entire population or planning programs and education for the entire population. So this is where we try and pull it all together. And so when you're taking exams, and especially the Hesse, everything's pulled together. Community is actually very med-surg focused, right? Just think about what we're doing in the community. Okay, we are a lot of education, a lot of health promotion, but there's a lot of community-based care of the ill, right? So you could be taking care of moms and babies. You could take care of the elderly. You could be taking care of clients who have been discharged home with strokes or wounds, or so very, very med-surg focused. I really encourage you to look at this class differently than you look at your peds and your med-surg. I mean, there's no clinicals in this class. This is a whole. Just try and take off those hats when you come to this class. Think of yourself as in the community. Okay, and when I say in the community, think of there's so many different roles that nurses play in the community, from, let's see, school nurses, right? Occupational nurses, immunization nurses, public health nurses, hospice nurses, home health. A lot of people think of community as home health. And yes, it does include home health, but it also includes a lot of other roles that you may be playing in the community. Faith-based nursing is in the community. So lots and lots and lots of different roles, and we'll go over that throughout the term. One of the topics, the concepts that you'll hear over and over again every week is vulnerable populations. Okay, in the community, we're working with vulnerable populations over and over and over again. Okay, what do we think of as vulnerable populations? Homelessness, substance abuse, obesity, mental health, teen pregnancy. What else? Lots of vulnerable populations in the communities. Okay, so I hope that you enjoy this class, and as we pull everything together, because we'll be talking about peds, we'll be talking about the elderly, we'll be talking about teen pregnancy, we'll be, you know, your exams have math questions, so your pharmacology comes in. And so I would encourage you to just take a step back and try and enjoy this class and learn about the community, because irregardless of where you go to work, you're probably going to be interacting with some sort of community-based nurse, right? Whether it's discharge planning, assisted living. Does that make sense? There isn't a whole lot of work in this class. I mean, we've got our 4 NCLEX. We'll go through that when we get to the syllabus, but my suggestion, this is a Wednesday class, so my suggestion would be that you just block out some time over the weekend or early in the week and get your community work done, right? And then you can focus on your other classes and you don't have to think community for the rest of the week. But if you fall behind, like Jean said, if you fall behind early, it's kind of tough to catch up, only because there are 4 KGAs. That's what make up your grade to get to 78%. There's 3 exams and there's 1 Hesse. All of those are worth 20% each. Okay, so if you don't do well on the first exam, you spend the rest of the term catching up. Okay, there's no reason, I say this every term, there's no reason not to do well on all the exams. Okay, we provide you which we're working on now, we provide you a study guide for each of the exams. And the study guide we develop from the lectures, from the readings, from the exam, the actual exam. So it's an excellent reflection. The study guide is an excellent summary of all the things we've covered in the previous weeks. Okay, so we also offer live reviews the weekend before your exam week. So for example, already for the end of next week, we're already doing reviews because your first exam is in week 3. Okay, so we're putting together schedule now, but I think there's 5 instructors. You should have at least 4 or 5 live reviews provided to you outside of class. Okay, and I think we're trying to do them like 1 Thursday, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday, so we can give everybody the best opportunities to try and get to one. And as you've probably heard other professors say in other classes, there is a direct correlation with attending live review sessions and exam grades. There just
I have a
is.
quick question. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
of course. Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
Hi.
So for those exam reviews, do you guys offer some night reviews? Like, is there a certain teacher that does some at night, like 8:39?
I think one of our instructors does them in the evenings, but I think it's on the weekend that she does them.
Okay.
But we try and break out into different days and different times of the day.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And there's quite a bit. And then and I'll get into this in a little bit, but we'll all send around our recordings to each other. And so you'll have all the postings too. Okay, so you'd have, let's say we do 5 reviews, you'll have 5 live review opportunities, and then you'll have 5 recordings. Okay, so plenty of opportunity to either attend or watch a recording. Okay, so yeah, I really just hope you enjoy this class as much as the importance of pulling everything together, because that's essentially what we're doing. And that's in our, when I get to the module, I'll go through that. So what have you guys, okay, Jean let us off, but what do you guys know about this class? What have you heard about this class? Are you excited to take it? It's different. It's different. And I'm not one to talk all the time, so I like for everybody to jump in and give me your feedback. And before I forget again, I'm going to ask everybody that came in a little bit late to put your names in campuses in the chat. So what are you thinking going into this class? What are your thoughts today? It's okay.
Ultimately,
No, go ahead, go.
ultimately my goal is to work in the ER and become a SANE nurse. And all of my classes this semester, because I have peds, med surg 2, and this one,
Mhm.
really think it's gonna help me prepare for my future in the ER and be SANE certified.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, great. Anybody else want to share? Awesome.
Me personally, I'm a ER tech at Jackson. I've been
Mhm.
there for like 15 years now.
Mhm.
So basically, the job waiting on me. The whole staff there is very nice and helpful with things that I need. So I'm waiting to work. Although I do want to like branch out and go somewhere else. To just sometimes you need a new environment, but for now it is working here in Miami at my job, Jackson.
Awesome. Awesome. And my favorite assignment to grade is in week 1. My favorite assignment of the whole term is professional development plans. They're awesome. It's awesome to learn about you guys and hear what you're currently doing and what you want to do. So I really look forward to reading those. A couple of requests. If anybody, and you send me a separate email, if anybody's repeating not only this class or any other class, if you're a repeat student, if you could just shoot me an email. I would like to reach out to everybody, but I also like to really reach out to my students that are repeating and provide them any additional support they might need. So please let me know that. If you have any accommodations from prior semesters, if you could shoot me an email and let me know about that, and then we can talk about that. And then I was also asked, this is a Wednesday, so it doesn't apply, so scratch that. All right, well, let's cover the orientation PowerPoint. Does anybody have any burning questions for now? Okay, let's cover the PowerPoint here. Oops, I can't see you guys now. There you are. Okay. Okay, you guys obviously know what online learning is, right? You've been doing this for a while. Secure internet access. What I can say is that especially for exams, if you are have on and off internet access, please go to your campuses and take your exams. That's perfectly fine to do. I have interactions with the students throughout the course. Obviously, I provide, hang on, am I not sharing my screen? Oh, come on, guys, somebody's got to let me know that. Okay, I'm not really tech savvy, so if you need to remind me to record, or hey, you're not sharing your screen. So can everybody see my screen now? Okay,
Yes.
Cool, great. So I'm here for you all term. I did in your announcement send out a syllabus cover sheet, which we need to do with every class. And I usually just list out the hour before this class as office hours, because we have to list office hours. But I want you to know on the front end, I'm available whenever. Okay. I work 7 days a week, and I can meet in the morning, afternoon, evening. We don't just have to use that office hour. If you want to use that office hour, fine, just let me know. But I am very open and flexible to meeting with you. Okay. I consider this a team. We're a team here, and my job is to get everybody over the finish line in 12 weeks. Okay. And I need your help doing that. I'll do my part, you do your part, but I think you'll find me to be very flexible, very open. My flexibility can only go so far as to stay within the Fortis guidelines. Okay, but I'm super, super, super easy to work with. Super easy to work with. Okay. The one thing that I absolutely have to have, though, the number one thing from you guys is communication. Okay. Communication is of the utmost importance to me. Okay. I can't help you if I don't know what's going on. If you have issues and you cannot get assignments done, if you have issues and you cannot take the exam, if you have issues and it's affecting your ability to succeed in this class, you have got to let me know. Okay, so that I can work with you within the limits that I can work with you. Okay, as far as flexibility. So I can't stress that enough. Okay, please don't send me an email in week 6 that you don't have the right books. Right? Or please don't send me an email in week 4 that you don't have internet. You just please, that's all I'm going to say is please communicate with me. I'm very quick to respond to emails. I know there's a 24-hour rule. I get my emails to my phone. I'll respond to you as soon as I can. Okay. And I usually have a very quick turnaround time. Okay. Feel free to text me, call me. Just if you're texting me, just let me know who you are. And I'll text you back or I'll ask you to give me a call. I have no problem with that. Okay. My contact information is in my instructor page and I'll show you that in the module. Okay. So as we know, this class, as your other hybrid classes are, readings, homework assignments, we do have NCLAX, we have Kaplan, we have a couple of papers, we have a couple of group projects. We'll talk about those in a bit. I use the announcements or Canvas email all the time. Okay, that's my way to communicate with you guys. All right, so try and check them every couple of days. I think most of you guys get alerts when something comes through. And then the other thing that I'm learning too is please check if you get a homework grade posted, check to make sure there's no comments in there. For example, if I can't see an NCLEX assignment, if you've submitted it, but it's not coming up, I can't see it, or if you've submitted something, I cannot see it, I'm just going to put a comment in the section right there that says, hey, Dawn, I can't see it. Please resubmit. So you got to be checking those as well. For example, with NCLEX, if you submit an NCLEX and it's in the 30s or below 40, I'm going to send you a message to say, sure, I'll put your 35 in there as your grade, but I'm going to reopen it for you in case you want to redo it for a higher grade. And that's where those comments are. So check your I put lots of stuff in the comment section. All right. So please check those when your grades get posted. Okay. So for any issues with regards to computer grading, start with me. Okay. And I'll do my best to help you. You'll find that I probably will direct you quite a bit back to your student resources because most of your questions can be answered through student resources. If it has to do with, books and access, so those will be in your student resources, but start with me. If you have questions about sims and labs and clinicals, those have to go back to your campus. I can't answer those for you. Okay. Our lead for the RN program is Dr. Lundy, and her information is at the bottom of this slide, her email and her phone number. And then as well as Dean Brown. She is our National Dean of Online Nursing Education. Okay, and there's her contact information. So start with me. If I can't help you, I'll reach out to Dr. Lundy. If we can't help you, then we will reach out to Dean Brown. Okay. We just talked about some of this stuff. Contact me. Let's see. Online course is a professional setting, communications to a respectful. I don't have any issues with that. I have not had any issues with that. Just the one thing, as far as I sent you the etiquette. I sent you the etiquette. Please follow the etiquette for online classes. Okay. You guys all know this by now, the start and end times for the weeks, right? Starts on Mondays, ends on Sundays. Okay. There are some weeks there are Wednesday due dates, and those are your discussion questions and your group projects. They're due on Wednesday, and these are all due on Wednesdays so that you then have the ability to do your peer responses before Sunday. Okay, and that's not new. This isn't new for you. You guys know that. Okay, and then this is really, I mean, this is where my flexibility is limited. Okay, I'm flexible, but I only have certain limits. This has to be followed. Okay, and so first and foremost, prior approval. If you are having an issue with getting your assignment in, you've got to let me know. Okay. If on Monday morning, and I do go in and check grade books on Monday morning and Thursday mornings when you have a Wednesday night assignment, if I haven't heard from you and you haven't submitted it, I have to put a 0 in. I have to. Okay. If I haven't heard from you. If I've heard from you, that's fine. You have up to 7 days, right, to get that assignment in with a 10% deduction. I have no flexibility with this slide, 0. Okay, and then after the 7th day, we can't accept it. All right, so this is really important, prior approval. So if I go into Monday's grade book and I don't know, there's 6 students who haven't submitted their NCLEX assignment, and I haven't heard from any of the 6, I have to put zeros in those columns. Okay, so I can't stress that enough. And there's not that much in this class. There's no reason, unless there's personal stuff going on, there's no reason that you can't get your assignments in on time in this class. Don't get into what happened to Gene. Gene focused on med-surg and peds the last time he took this class, and he got buried, right? So get it done. I'm so happy to have you back, Gene. I'm so happy to have you back. We'll get you across the finish line this term, I promise. Promise. So our attendance is, we have to have 2, this is the slide that really what it's saying is be careful when you work ahead. Okay, I don't lock any assignments. I know other people do. As far as when you can get into them, I don't. I just don't lock them. But be careful about working ahead. Like if you go and do all your NCLEX assignments, just wait to submit them on the week they're due. Because there are a couple of weeks that there are only 2 things you can submit, or that you're expected to submit. There always has to be 2 submissions per week. And the attestation is 1. That's a given. That's great. It's a given. Your attestation is 1 submission every week. And you don't do your attestations, obviously, before you come to class. All right. Your other submissions in a week could be your NCLEX. So for example, if you submit all your NCLEX questions to me this week, I have to grade them, which means when you have your other NCLEX questions down the road, they don't count as a submission that week. They were all graded in week 1. Make sense? So be careful. There are a couple of weeks there's only 1 other thing due. So between our attestations, which is obviously 1, we have NCLEX, case studies, project papers, Kaplan. Your exam week counts as your 2nd. So just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful about working ahead. You don't want to turn in everything at the beginning. Okay. And then obviously, if you haven't posted anything in 14 days, that's a drop. You guys all know this. Not documented, not done. That's kind of the way nursing goes, right? And then this, I don't have any, this is the other slide I have no flexibility with, 0. Okay, cameras must be on at all times when in class, not to be allowed in class if you're driving, safety first. If people are in their cars but not driving, fine, you just can't be driving. And then you're not supposed to be at work. You're not supposed to be at work while logged in during class. Okay. You guys should already be practicing all these. You've gotten this far. Okay. you know these steps. Review your work, complete your readings. I encourage you to breeze through the PowerPoints, before class, just so at least you know what we're covering, right? Because I don't spend a lot of time on the PowerPoints. I send them to you ahead of time for a reason. Okay, what I try to do during lecture is pull out the important parts that we need to know and understand if we're going to understand the concept we're talking about. Okay, so the other thing we're going to start this term, and I don't know if your other instructors have already told you, the expectation is that for classes starting this term, we're supposed to be doing the first hour of lecture content, and the second hour is supposed to be interactive group activities. Okay, so for example, I may pull in some case studies, right? And then maybe break you guys out into groups, put you in breakout rooms, do your case study, and then come back and present it to the class. So that second hour is supposed to be interactive. Okay, I have lots of resources of Hesse practice questions. We have Kahoots, and we'll go through that when I get to the module. We may do a Kahoots. I don't know, but so that's the way that this class is structured for this term, right? First hour content, second hour activity for you all to be participating in. Okay, obviously make sure that you read all the rubrics. That's how we grade. You complete your homework and assignments. To be successful, keep in contact with me, reliable internet. Whatever your organization strategies are at this point, what's got you to this point, keep working at it. This is a really heavy term, right? Med-surg, peds, and community. This is a heavy term. So you guys have got to be organized and have a plan of how you're going to pass all these 3 classes this term. Okay. Let's see, review course announcements at least weekly. I'd say more than that. Submit all assignments when they're due. And then here's my early submissions will affect your later attendance and cause you to miss class. So I like to try and review assignments for next week in the week we're in. Do you know what I mean? Look and see what's coming up. Okay. And in this class, do not procrastinate, because again, you're just going to get behind, and the last thing you need to be doing is stressing out about community the whole term. Okay, I can't stress that enough. Homework, reading must be done prior to lecture time. I mean, I would just ask that you briefly go through the PowerPoints to at least know the topics we're going to be covering. We teach from the objectives in each of the chapters. Okay, the objectives are usually your second page of your PowerPoint, and that's what we're trying to get out of each concept. So if, for this week, chapter 1, if we read the objectives, that's what the readings are what we should be. I'm saying this backwards. We should be able to articulate, answer, discuss the objectives. That's what we need to get out of our reading and out of lecture, to be able to answer the objectives, right? So for example, if you look at the objectives at the beginning of the chapter, and then you look up the answers and the concepts in that chapter, right? The answers will be in your PowerPoints and in the readings. Okay. We may break out in groups and I may assign each group an objective, right? And you'll work on the objective for 15-20 minutes in your group and come back and teach help the rest of the class understand what the answer is to the objective. Make sense? You already know this. You've already all done this. Is everybody, I'm assuming that everybody needs to do that syllabus and technology quiz that you have to do every term in order to be able to get into the module. So if you haven't done the syllabus and technology quiz, I would do that. I'm going to try and finish up early so that for those of you that haven't done it, do it then, so at the end of class. Then the other thing too, just to throw out there, I like to do our attestations together at the end of class. So we all pull up our weekly attestation. We all answer the questions together. Some of the students put the answers in the chat and we complete the attestation and that's done. You hit submit and you don't have to think about it again. Right? So I like to do that as well. Obviously your live sessions are mandatory, attendance is required. Okay, so if you're not going to be in class, you got to let me know ahead of time. Right, I have several options for you if it's an emergency and you can't be in class. Okay, you can attend my other session on Friday if you want. Just so you know, I also teach Friday mornings from 9 to 11 in the RN program. Okay, so I will offer you to come to that. There's always going to be a recording. I will send out the recording within a couple hours after class. If you miss part of the lecture for whatever reason, you have to step away from your computer, you'll always have the recording to fall back on. Okay. Let's see. Here's our exam review sessions, not mandatory, but highly encouraged. They're done outside of the class time. Okay. We do take attendance at the review sessions and we provide that attendance to each instructor so they know which of their students go to the different reviews. And like I said, we send around our recordings as well. Okay. Tutoring is available. Again, it's all about communication. Okay. Students that participate actively in these two interventions tend to have higher testing scores, as many as 20 points higher. This is in our syllabus, but this is what our class consists of. 3 exams, 20% each. The Hesse, 20%. So there's your 80% KGAs. You'll have your vulnerable populations assignment that's due in week 9. And that is essentially, we'll go through that, but that's essentially picking a vulnerable population in your zip code where you live and doing a research paper on that. And there's a rubric for that. Professional development plan that's due this week. The case study, Healthy People 2030, is your first group project. It's due in week 3. And so by the end of this week, hopefully over the weekend, I'll be putting together groups. And those groups will be for both projects. So you have 2 group projects. One is this, the case study. And then the other one is, where is the group project here? It's called the Infectious Disease Project. You do it in week 7 where you pick I assigned a group in infectious disease and there's a rubric of what you have to do with that. So that's the 2 group projects. There's 4 sets of NCLEX questions. Okay, there's 2 Hesse case studies. It's a Kaplan activity in week 10, and there's some discussion questions. Okay, so it's not a whole lot. And then you guys all know the rule about homework, right? Your last 20%, all this other stuff that's not in yellow, you have to have a 78 up here for all this stuff to get added in. Everybody knows that, right? Do we all know what a homework fail is? What's a homework fail?
When you pass all of your key graded assignments and your homework brings you down.
So that you fail the class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Do not be a homework fail. There's no need for it in any class, let alone this class. I turn on the homework in about week 6 so that you guys can see how your homework is affecting your grade. Weeks 1 through 5 it won't be on. Then week 6 and 7 I'll turn it on. I don't usually have problems with homework. I just don't. I just stay on top of you guys. I really do. I stay on top of you guys on the Thursdays and on the Mondays. Okay, but if you're not turning in homework and you're not getting in touch with me, you're just going to have zeros across the board, and I can't do anything about that. Okay, this is what we just talked about. You need a minimum passing grade before your homework is added in. All our exams, I would suggest between now and the end of next week, you just double check your ExamSoft account, make sure everything's working. I will, I guess, upload. I'll be uploading the exams for you to upload, usually on Saturday mornings before the exam. And so you have to upload the exam, like in the past, before you come to class. Right? What's the first thing you do during an exam if you're having a problem? Stop. Right? You stop taking your exam, you give me a call, and we'll go through this on exam day. I give you the ExamSoft number, my phone number, before you start taking the exam. But you guys, there's nothing that's changed. This is the same slide as last term. One attempt, you can't stop, pause, and resume. If you're having difficulties, stop. You gotta stop right away. Okay, and you upload it. And anyone with accommodation needs to let me know at the beginning of the term. Okay, so it doesn't automatically carry over. Okay. Exams held during your scheduled exams are held during class time, right? If there's issues, you got to let me know ahead of time. I can work with you of taking it on a different day for emergencies, whatever. Okay. The other thing that has been happening a lot with my students, so I'm thinking it's across the board. Like, for example, last term, I had an entire group of my Centerville campus students took their exam on campus with a dean that proctored them. And that's perfectly fine. Does that make, I think it was 8 of them. So they went to campus on the day of the exam during the scheduled time, and one of the deans proctored them. That's perfectly fine. Okay. I don't have any problem with you going, setting up, asking a faculty member if they want to proctor you on campus for your exam. I just need to know at least 3 or 4 days ahead of time, because I have to reach out to that instructor, give her the passcode. Right? So let me know if you want to do that. No problem with that at all. I don't arrange that, you do. Okay, there's all the rules for Zoom. You guys know that. Oh, by the way, you guys have a copy of this PowerPoint. I sent that to you in one of your announcements earlier in the week. Okay, so if you want to go back and review a page, feel free. Here's your missed exams. You know, it's the same, kind of the same scenario. If it's for personal reasons, a late penalty will be assessed at 10%. If it's an emergency, you need to provide documentation. And if you know what, if we get into that situation, you and me will deal with that individually. How's that? Okay. Contacting your instructor with issues that may prevent you from being successful. You have to communicate that with me before the exam. Okay, after you've taken if you've already taken the exam and you didn't do well, and you contact me and say, well, I had an emergency, I can't do anything about it after the fact. I can't. There's no retaking of the exams. Okay, I don't have the ability to work with you if I don't have the ability to help you if I don't know what's going on. Okay, we want you to be successful, and that requires ongoing communication. Okay, and this is always available especially for me. Contact me if you have any problems, or if you would just like some additional help. Okay, I'm here for you guys. Here for you guys. I want everybody passing this class this term. Okay, homework assignments. I'm assuming that you've got to this point because you're planning, prioritizing, completing your work, and submitting your work. If you want to go back and review this slide, go back and review it. I'm assuming that you have some kind of an organizational system. You're going to need it for this term, big time. A lot going on this term. Okay, with your other classes. There's your late policy again. Again, number 1 is prior approval. Okay, and then if it's been if it's been approved, which it always will be, you have up to a week to turn it in. Okay. And if anybody has issues with this during the term, I'm just going to refer you back to this slide. Okay, you didn't tell me that I had to contact you. You didn't tell me that, I should be able to, it says I have a week to turn it in. Yeah, you're right. But you had to let me know first. Okay, it's a lot for me to keep track of too. Okay, a lot for me to keep track of. So, NCLEX. Everybody in this class has done NCLEX questions. I don't need to go through this, correct? In your modules, it tells you exactly what the contents are you need to select for NCLEX. And as you've been told before, we need one batch of 50. Okay, we don't need 225s, and I certainly don't want 5 sets of 10. It doesn't give you the full effect of the assignment. Okay, so one batch of 50. And with NCLEX, as any other assignment, please do all your assignments through your module links. Okay, because if you end up going into evolve.com and going and doing your NCLEX question, you're not going to be able to submit it as a PDF, and it turns out to be a 0. Okay, because you guys know we can't accept screenshots. That's pretty standard. Okay, so all your assignments, Kaplan, NCLEX, case studies, all have to be accessed through your module. And just for the record, I haven't been able to upload the 2 Hesse case studies yet. That's why you don't see them in your assignments, because there's some kind of a technical issue going on with uploading them in general. So I'm working on that. But they're not till week 4 anyway. I think it's week 4 and week 7, so you shouldn't be thinking about that yet. Okay. You guys all know how to do your NCLEX. It needs to get submitted as a PDF. This is important. Okay. And a lot of students don't know this. Okay. You can do your NCLEX as many times as you want and submit your highest. So the reason why I really hone in on this is because I'm one that believes that rationales are really, really significantly important to learning. Rationales are awesome. Wherever you can get rationales, case studies, NCLEX, Kaplan, your practice questions that you have access to through your student resources. Anytime you can get a hold of rationales, look at, and another example, look at your remediation from your Hesses. Those are all rationales, right? So if you submit me a 35 in your NCLEX, you probably didn't learn a lot. But if you did your 35 the first time and didn't submit it and went back, and the next time you got 40 because you read the rationales and you had a better understanding, and then 40 wasn't okay with you, you wanted a 45, you went back and did it again for the 3rd time, you got a 45. That tells me, and I don't know how many times you've tried. I guess I could go find out, but no, I'm not. The higher grade you can get, sure, it helps your grade, but it also helps you learn. Okay, so if you're submitting me a 30, I think you probably just went through and did it real quick and just submitted it because you're running late and whatever. So you can do NCLEX as many times as you want, just submit your highest grade. But if you start off and get a low grade, you might want to go back in and spend some time on it. Okay, there's a reason we do 4 sets of NCLEX questions. It's to help you guys learn. Okay, so if anybody submits, I already said this, lower than a 40, I'm going to put in the comment section, hey, I've reopened it, because you can only submit once. You can do it as many times, you can only submit once. I've reopened this assignment for you, Dawn. If you would like to take, I'm only seeing Dawn because I can only see a few students here because I'm sharing my screen. I can see Dawn and Jean, and I can see Wendy sitting in her car. That's all I can see. But I'm going to say, Dawn, I'm going to reopen it for you. If you would like to redo it, it's reopened for you. A lot of students take advantage of it and they'll submit me a higher, another PDF, and I'll put in the higher grade. But it's up to you. I just give you that opportunity. Okay. Again, screenshots are not acceptable. That's all you need to know about this. Hesse. So we have a Hesse study guide, okay, that we try and give you at the very beginning of the term. So week 1 or week 2. This is a Hesse study guide that will carry you through the whole term. And I always encourage students to do this. I don't know who does it and who doesn't, who does and doesn't, but go through your Hesse study guide every couple of weeks, highlight, check off, what did we cover? Yep, this was covered this week. This was covered this week, week 2, week 3. That way, when you go back, when you start to study for Hesse, you got notes all over your study guide, right? This was covered in week 2. This was covered in week 3. So it's easy for you to go back. It's huge. It's like 60 pages. And it's like a term study guide. So you'll get that early on. And don't tuck it away. Use it as a tool for the whole term. Maybe you use that for your notes all term during lecture. I don't know. But that's meant for you to keep all term as a prep for all the way up to Hesse. And if you do keep up with it, students tell me if they've kept up with it the whole term, it was easy peasy going into the Hesse. Okay, so I'm just giving you tips from past. Okay. Everything needs to be accessed through Canvas, case studies, everything. Case studies accessed through your Evolve account will not be accepted, and they just won't. They won't be accepted because you won't be able to do a PDF, and it just go through your module. In your case studies, your grades will transfer into the gradebook automatically. You don't have to send them to me. Okay. Access all required courses through Canvas. Screenshots. Access by any other method will result in a 0. We already talked about that. I sent you guys a resource already about APA. It's a really good quick cheat sheet on writing papers in APA format. Okay. So written papers and discussion posts. Yes, they need to be in APA format, which means that you need to, I'm trying to get to, here's your APA. You need to use resources and cite your sources. Okay. I don't usually, well, scratch that. APA, know how to do APA. You guys should be familiar with APA at this point. Taking exams, we don't really need to go through that. Don't continue if you're having issues, contact me immediately. Before every exam, before I even give you the passcode, I make you write down 2 numbers. One is the ExamSoft troubleshooting number, and the other one is mine. And once I give you the code, everybody mutes, including me, and we don't communicate with our mics on at all during the exam. 0. If you have an issue, you have to call me or put it in the chat, but we don't turn our mics on. And that's worked really well the last couple of terms. If you need to contact ExamSoft, we'll be problem solving either by the phone or by chat. Okay. Kaplan, you guys have done Kaplan before, right? Yep, we'll have that in week 10. It's a community A Kaplan assignment, really good rationales as well. So we'll go through this later on of how we grade it. Remember, Kaplan's all about remediation, right? If you got 100%, you still have to remediate all 30 questions. If you got 50%, you don't just remediate your own half the questions, you have to remediate all of them. Then you have your Hesse, 1 attempt, 20% of your grade. It's due. It's the same as last term. Okay. Exam security. Summary. So things to think about. Hesse, things we'll go over during Hesse week. Oh, so Hesse's week 11. So we'll spend week 10. It's in the syllabus, and I'll go through this with you. We'll spend week 10 during our class time doing a Hesse review. Okay. So you'll get opportunities for exam reviews, and then you'll get an opportunity for a Hesse review. Okay. So do we have any questions about that? Have any questions about that? Any questions? I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and just check in with you guys. Make sure everybody has their names and campuses in the chat as well. Any questions about the orientation PowerPoint? You have a copy, you can refer back to it. if I went through anything too fast. I tend to talk fast. Actually, I tend to talk a lot and fast. It's not good. Which is why the second hour is going to be interactive. So you don't have to listen to me for 2 hours, and I don't want to listen to myself for 2 hours.
I do too, and then I talk too fast and I stutter.
Yeah, exactly. And then I forget, I get off in different tangents. It's that adult ADHD thing that I'm pretty sure I got going on. But okay, let's go through the module. How are we doing for time? I'm on, what am I? Most of you guys on East Coast time? Is Cookville East Coast or is it Central?
We're central.
Yeah, Central. Cutler Bay's East Coast. Port St. Lucy's obviously East Coast. Port St. Lucie, you guys dodged a bullet with the. My parents live in Fort Myers. From the oh my gosh, my parents live in Fort Myers. They were heading down there in a couple of weeks. They're not heading down there now. Yeah, really sad. How are you guys doing over in Port St. Lucie? Doing okay?
I have family over in Fort Myers too that stayed for the hurricane and luckily didn't get anything.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Mm. And that's where used to go every winter and go down and see them in Fort Myers. I used to get down every couple of weeks. I have a son who provides me flight benefits so I can fly. But I used to get down all the time to Fort Myers. Not this year. So sad. Okay, let's go through the syllabus. Anybody have any questions so far? Am I going too fast, too slow, too much information? What are we thinking? You okay at this point? Okay. All right, let me share my screen and we'll go into the.
I think I'm the only one from Pensacola, but
Oh, I have a Pensacola student? Okay.
yeah,
Who's
but
that?
I'm Central Time as well.
You're what?
I'm Central Time as well.
Oh, Pensacola Central Time, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
And so is Cookville. Cookville. I love your dean, Steve. He's awesome. Awesome. Looking forward to working with him this term.
Is Cookville in Florida or?
Cookville's in
state is-
Ohio.
Oh,
Cookville's in
In
Ohio.
Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
Cookville's in Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cookville's in Tennessee.
okay. Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah. Okay, let's go through the module. Where am I? You guys had a chance to look at the module? I always like to look at the module when I'm working with students and go into my so you can see my screen, right? This is my screen. Okay, but I like to go into student view up here. And I get a big purple line down here because I like to see what you guys see. Okay, so this is what you guys see. All right, so let's start with announcement. Well, let's start with home. Where's our home? Okay. We talked about what community was. Okay, so I sent you several announcements. Okay, this is the way I communicate with you guys. Okay, there's your APA resources I sent you. Ebook. Is anybody having an issue with their ebook? Does everybody have the book? Because if you don't, oh, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I talked
everybody
to
have a
you
book.
yesterday
Oh,
about.
Chelsea, yeah, Chelsea.
I got it. Some of the girls from my campus helped me, and
Awesome.
I don't know if they Evolve or whatever fixed it, but I was able to
Good.
get to it.
Okay, so you have the book. Is anybody
Yeah,
else having an issue with
you.
getting the book? Because I sent you in another email, but it sounds like we don't need it. Support sessions for ebooks. Okay, so Chelsea, you don't need to attend one of those then. Okay, cool. All right, great. What else do I want to go through? Syllabus cover sheet. This is the reason why we send this out to you. And again, I already explained that I have to put down office hours. Okay, for the sake of putting down office hours. So I always do it right here, the hour before the class, just to get something down. But As I told you, I'm available whenever. The one thing I want you to pull from this is two things. One is, here's my Zoom ID. This ID is going to be used the whole term. It's used for exams, for class, for tutoring, for exam reviews. It's used for everything. That's my Zoom ID. Okay, so put it somewhere. But the other reason we send this to you is because it has the important dates. The course start date and the withdrawal date and the end date. Now, 12/25 is the that's the end of week 12. We're done way before that. In fact, I went through this with one of my classes yesterday. We're done by like the 18th or 19th, if we look at the calendar. But that's the end date of the class. That's the last day of week 12. Okay. So, again, this is what you guys should be seeing. Is everybody done? I guess I'm going to stop sharing now. Because everybody done the literacy and technology or syllabus and technology? It takes you a minute. Okay, we've done that. Okay, good. And you all saw it from Dean Brown. It gives feedback from prior. Whoops. Okay, so have a look at that if you haven't. I'm getting a pop-up that says my Zoom has quit unexpectedly. We're still on, right? Okay. I'm up in I'm from Colorado, but Tom and I have a lake house up in Northwest Wisconsin. So I am way, way up in Northwest Wisconsin in a very rural area. I typically have fine internet, but we are out in the middle of nowhere. Let's see. Just going through I want to see in case you don't read them all the way to the end. So here's I do want to go through this. So when I asked at the beginning, what is community nursing? Introduction to community nursing. One of the primary functions of a community health nurse is to identify health problems in the community and to provide health care to patients who may not have access to or be able to afford medical services. This is a summary in your announcement. Okay. We as community nurses develop intervention plans to address health, safety, nutrition. We educate our patients about healthy choices. We assist with disease and illness prevention. We, just like they do in the hospital, we use evidence-based practice. In fact, there's a whole chapter on that. Right? And you guys, I know, are familiar with evidence-based practice, right? We all want to be practicing evidence-based practice. Well, we do that in the community too. Okay. And I'll also throw in now that ADPI, we use ADPI. I mean, ADPI is part of your vocabulary in nursing. Well, ADPI is used in the community too. Okay. The one thing that you will learn to do, and we have to learn to do, is transition our ADPI thinking from a hospital setting into the community. So how do we assess a patient a patient being admitted to the hospital versus how do we assess a family in the community with domestic violence issues? So A is still the same. D, diagnosis still the same. We just go about it differently. Right. So ADPI is the nursing process. We do follow the nursing process, obviously, in the community. We just have to think about it differently. Okay. We know that evidence-based practice ensures effective care, safe clinical environment. Right. Community health nursing is becoming more important, a much more important part of modern healthcare. Okay. Look what's happened over the last 2.5 years with the pandemic. It's all been community-based, right? Or we've been guided by community, public health, CDC, all that is about public health and community health. So the community health nurse, the community health role has been really, really increased as far as visibility over the last couple of years. In my last 2 years out before I retired in the schools, we all became public health nurses for COVID. That's all I did for 2 years. It's COVID, COVID, COVID. So, yeah. Community health nurses, we focus on preventing. One of the things we do is focus on preventing health issues from sweeping through the community. Right? So we'll often need to circulate through the community and find out about the community. So I always like to present this in week 1. Let's say you are moving to a different state. Okay, and you have just been hired in your neighboring state in one of the communities as their new public health community nurse. Okay, you know nothing about the state, you know nothing about the community, but you are the new community health nurse. How would you orient and educate yourself to figure out what does your community need? That's what we learn in this class. Okay. All right, so that's a little summary of community nursing. What I always like to, well, we do weekly announcements so that we break out what you have to do, what are your assignments. I mean, all this is essentially copy and pasted from your syllabus and your modules, but I like to organize it for you once a week. Okay, so here's your homework for this week. The PowerPoints were attached. One of the things you're asked to do this week is to look at your Healthy People 2030 website, familiarize it, because your first group assignment is going to be from that. Okay. It's a Healthy People case study assignments due in week 3. So essentially I break you up into groups and give you a case study. And there's 3 different case studies to choose from. I assign different case studies to different groups and you go through the case study. And it's from Healthy People 2030. Okay, then your professional development plan is due Sunday. That's the other thing. If you turn in stuff early, I like to grade early. Okay, I don't wait till Sunday night till everything's into grade. If you turn things in early in the week, I'll do my best to get grades out. All right. I can't really grade the discussion questions on Thursday unless you've already done your peer responses. I have to wait to do peer responses to grade it all together because that's the rubric. First half of the rubric for discussion questions is your initial response. The second half is peer. But if you do peer responses Thursday and Friday, I'll do my best to grade it. Okay. And then I give you, here's all my information. We'll use this Zoom for the entire semester. Okay. If you want to do this by Sunday, go to the course cafe and tell the group, tell us something about you and what you do for self-care. If you'd like to do that, great. I always love reading those as well.
Miss Marvel, I have a quick question regarding the professional development paper. I got started on that the other day. As far as for like the current position part of the paper, I'm still working on my outline for it. Currently
I already gave you an outline.
Right, I'm doing my part of it. Like,
Oh yeah, I want to show.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
as far as the current position, I'm just a full-time nursing student right now. So like, do I just put that information?
Whatever
in?
you currently do. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, thank you, Don, for saying that, because I just want to make sure that you guys know I'm in the module now. I want to make sure you guys know there's a template for this.
Mhm.
Where's
Right,
the
I'm just
template?
going through and answering the questions in my own
Yeah.
words before I format my
Right.
paper.
But here's your template. Okay, so I want you guys to use this template. It's super easy. Okay, here it is. Use your template if you haven't found it yet. Okay, it's simple. What are your short-term goals and objectives? Long-term, what's your plan of action to achieve them? What's your current position? Nursing student, if you're done. What are your strengths and weaknesses? That's it. Use this template.
Right, so you just want us to use that exact template and just fill in our blank, that's all.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Try to
yeah,
make it
that's
easy for you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, we don't have to write an actual paper on it. We just fill out.
Well, I mean, I mean, it's a template, but you know, I mean, it's not a paper, but it needs to be, well, you know.
I
You know.
read that as this is a paper. And so I'm trying to fluff everything. And I was
No,
like, how do I
no,
fluff all
no,
this?
no, no.
Okay,
No, it's right here. Everything, complete your 2-year personal development plan, and these 4 bullets are the template.
We're
Write
not
a 2 to
seeing, so I'm not seeing the template that you're showing.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either.
right here.
It's like the screen's frozen.
I'm sorry, what? My screen is frozen?
What we're seeing is the announcement still.
Oh. Oh. Okay, let's see. See if we can reset this. Okay, can you see me now? Okay, let's go back and try and share again. Can you see that?
Nah,
No?
No.
mine says that you started a sharing screen, but
There you-
oh, now I can see it.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. I don't
You're
know
just
what's-
going in and out.
I know. I don't know what's going on. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah.
All right. Share my screen. Can you see this? Professional development plan? Okay, get
Yes.
down to the bottom right here. Download the template right here. See it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what you need. So
Okay.
open that template up, share it, and just start filling it out. It needs to be 2 or 3 pages. I guess that's, you know, don't ignore the word paper, but use the template and answer those questions. How's that?
Sounds good.
Making it easy for you.
Yeah.
Don, where are you? Don't,
Template in APA format already, or do we have to put in APA format?
you need to put in APA format, okay?
Okay.
Yep. So Don, don't make it harder than it is, okay?
I think I'm gonna put that in my weaknesses, because I tend to do that.
Perfect. Okay, so there's your template. Okay, so for this week, I always just like to go through things with you. You've already done all this. Let me know if I cut out, okay? So you have your readings, there's your readings. We've broken it out into assignments. So what's due today, this week? Professional development plan and attestation. We're going to do this before we finish up today. What you got going for next week? Okay, so over the weekend, you're going to get an announcement from me, just like week 1. It's going to outline your readings. It's going to outline what's due and any other information I want to share with you. So next week, we have a discussion question. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to have a Wednesday due date next week, right? Just like it says in here. In your discussion question, it says your initial post is due by Wednesday night. Okay? So I'm just looking ahead because I always like to look ahead. So week 2, you're going to have a discussion question. And then what's your assignment's going to be next week? You're going to have an NCLEX. Okay. And so like your other classes, your NCLEX, here's what you need to select a subcategory. So for your first one, it's foundations, communication, community health, special populations, spirituality, cultural, and ethnicity. So we've already given you the topics. Okay. Make sense? Let's see, what am I going to do for next week? I'm going to make group assignments for the upcoming weeks of 7 and 9. Hang on, I need to think about that. That's not right. You will have a group assignment in weeks 3 and 7. Because what's due in week 9 is your vulnerable populations assignment, and that's an individual assignment. So I'll have to get that corrected. So make that note, please. Your group assignments will be weeks 3 and week 7, which means I have to get you groups by this weekend so you can start working on it. Okay, and weeks 3 group assignment is case studies. There's 3 different case studies. I just assign groups different case studies and you guys work on it and send it back in. And then week 7, I assign infectious diseases. Okay, so one group will be working on HIV, one will be working on measles, one will be working, and it's a mini research project. And the whole purpose of the group projects is to get you guys working in groups from different campuses, because what's nursing all about? Communication, teamwork, group work, right? So if you start having issues in your group that somebody's not participating or somebody's not carrying their weight, rather than coming to me, which is fine, what are you going to do in real life when this happens in your work setting? That's the whole purpose of these group activities. Nursing is a group profession. We're always working in groups, whether it's you and a physician, you and a physical therapist, you and other nurses, you and whomever. Discharge planner, you're always working in care teams. So that's the purpose of doing some group projects is that. Okay. So I'll get you the groups by the end of the weekend. So that's what we got going on next week. As far as all these assignments, just want to go through this with you. I don't know that you see this, but I'll show you. It's on my page, so I'm just going to show it to you. Okay, so here's what we got for assignments. You got 3 exams, right? They're in weeks 3, 6, and 9. Okay, so you have the opportunity to attend reviews in the end of week 2, the end of week 5, the end of week 9. Next week's already the end of week 2. So you'll be getting some communication the next couple of days. You'll be getting your study guide. You'll be getting the exam review sessions. Okay. Then you got your Hesse. There's your vulnerable populations. That's due in week 9. We already talked about this professional development plan. This is your week 3. And you can go into any of these modules, like go into week 3 and read about the case study. You can go into week 9 and read about vulnerable populations. Okay. Then you got your 4 NCLEX. These I haven't got in there yet, your case studies, because I haven't figured it out yet. Your Kaplan is in week 10. And let's see, when are your discussions coming up? Your questions are coming up in weeks 2, 5, and 6. Those are your individual discussion questions. And then the second group one that's due in week 7, we talked about the infectious disease. That's due in week 7. And that also comes with a peer review submission. So we'd like for you to evaluate your peers. How did you guys do as a group? We'll talk more about that later. And then here's all your attestations. Okay. What else do I want to show you? Questions? Helpful to go through it like this? Too much? You guys will be fine. You guys will be fine. Just carve out some time for community. Okay. Carve out some time. You know, your professional development plan, I'm going to finish up here soon and we'll go and do our attestation. And then you're going to have probably 30, 35 minutes. I call it the gift of time, right? Just go in and do your professional development plan. If you want, get it done and submit it. And you're done. You're done with week 1 for community and it's only Wednesday. If you want. Okay, but we'll always get our attestations done during class. That's one check mark you can. And if you don't do it during class, you have to, you only have 24 hours to do it. Otherwise, it ends up being a 0. And that's in the orientation PowerPoint as well. So, all right, before we jump to attestations, I feel like it's only 1:20. What time is 2:20? I feel like, what didn't I cover? Why do I have a block of time open? Did the orientation PowerPoint, we did the modules, assignments, everybody's up on their book. What questions do you guys have? Does this sound manageable, this class?
Yeah, it is.
It's manageable. I'm telling you, it's manageable. Just keep up. Don't bomb exam 1. Don't. And there's no need to. You have ample reviews, ample recordings, a great study guide. There's no reason. All right, pardon me. Let's everybody pull up their week 1 attestation. Tell me when you're there. So what's the first question? Is it the late work question? What's the first question? Somebody?
It's about late work.
Okay, what is it? So who wants to put in the chat what the answer is? It's what's the late work policy? There's only 2 things. One is what? Gotta let me know. 2 is you get 10% off if you submit it in the first week after it's due, assuming you've let me know. Yeah, and 0 after 8 days, Savannah said. So put that in there. What's the second question? Kind of, Chelsea, but just next time, wait till after class. Just wait till after class. What's the second question? Can somebody read the second question to me? Pardon me.
Define primary care.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that we're going to cover in every chapter, every week, is primary. You guys have heard of primary, secondary, and tertiary, correct? You guys have covered that in your other classes. So now we're going to think of what is primary care or primary interventions, secondary interventions, tertiary when it comes to the community. Okay. So what is primary care? What's primary? What are we doing with primary care?
It's the everyday, today healthcare, not a specialty.
We're trying to prevent things before they happen. Right?
Go to your primary doctor and
So immunizations, I think, is primary.
Yep. Yep. So primary care, you're gonna hear all about this. Primary and community is all about education, trying to prevent things before they happen. Secondary is going to be early screening, early intervention. Who are our risk groups? And then tertiary, we're going to be caring for people that already have issues, diseases, conditions. How do you care for them? That's what primary, secondary, I think you're going to get that next week in the question, but that's what primary, secondary, and tertiary are. So primary care, keep talking, give a few more examples of primary care. What are you guys putting in what are you putting in your attestation? Help everybody else out.
Vaccinations.
Prevention.
Mhm. That's primary care is all about prevention. So when you're done, hit submit. When you're done, and then you're done. Okay, you don't have to worry about your attestation. It's done. Okay. So the only other thing you have to do is your professional development plan. Some people have already turned it in, which is great. But since you now have a half an hour, start working on it if you want. It's up to you. So I record all these. So in the next couple hours, I'll get a conversion of my recording, and then I'll post it in your announcements, week 1 recording. So if you missed any part of this and you want to go back and review any part of it, you can do so. So you should be expecting some additional announcements from me this week. I have a whole kind of folder of test taking tutorials that I'm from Elsevier, from my instructor resources in Elsevier, that I love to share with my students, how to break down questions, how to eliminate answers, just lots of really good test taking strategies. So I'll send you those. I have some math resources, really easy cheat sheets and easy conversion math cheat sheets. Some come from Elsevier, some come from other places I've accumulated over the last couple of years. So I am going to send you those. I will send you the exam one study guide as soon as we finalize it. Hopefully you'll get that in the next couple of days. And then I will send you, when I do it, my lecture recording for content, right? Because we didn't cover content this week. Remember, exam one comes up quickly. It's this week and next week. Okay, so this week it's going to be recording, next week will be in person. And we can go through, we can take a part of our week 2 lecture and go through any week 1 questions. Right, so please listen to the recording when I send it. Okay, and then what else am I going to get you? So, our review sessions. And we're going to be sending out a master review session. So you're going to have exam 1, 2, 3, and Hesse. You're going to have all those dates for the whole term so you can plan ahead. Plan around work schedules if you want to attend a live session. Okay, I didn't want to bombard you with too much before class, but now I can tell you what's coming. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Do you have a better understanding of how the term's going to go? Okay. I get a lot of feedback at the end of the term that, wow, I didn't think it was, pulling everything together. It's really cool how hospitals work with hospice teams and community nurses work with discharge planners in the hospitals or in the rehabs or in the long-term care, assisted living facilities. Community nursing it's kind of rocks, is you got to bring your whole toolbox to community nursing, as I say at the beginning, and now we're pulling all your classes you've taken together. So if you think there are questions on exams that are kind of med-surgy focused, yeah, they are, because med-surg is in the community. One of the things we'll talk about, or you'll hear, is what's the difference between community-oriented nursing and community-based nursing. That's a big thing we deal with in week 1. Okay, there's 2 kinds of community nursing: community-oriented, community-based. I think that's your attestation question next week. Well, community-oriented is that nurse, it's more of like the public health big picture. You're trying to orient yourself to the community. What does it look like? What are the health needs? What are the risks? What does this community need? That's community-oriented. You're trying to orient yourself to the community. But then you could also be a community-based nurse, which means you're in the community taking care of the ill clients. So the strokes, the post-discharge wound care, broken hips. All right, so that's the big difference. Community-oriented looks at the big picture of the community. What do they need? What are the strengths? What are the issues? Community-based, you're maybe working in home health. You're working in the community, taking care of people that are sick. And you're always going to have a partnership with somebody in the community, no matter where you work. Right? Whether it's a faith-based nurse in a congregation or a hospice nurse or a home health nurse, you're going to be working with community nurses of all different kinds. So anyway, okay, I am officially done. I'm happy to stay on. Remember, if you're repeating or if you have accommodations, not me just repeating community, repeating any class, just give me a heads up. I want to reach out to you. And then please, my door, it's not really my door because it's not in classroom. My computer is wide open for emails and setting up meetings and doing whatever you need. I can set up a Zoom meeting and I can set it up on my phone if we just need to chit chat real quick. So I'm available to you guys to help you succeed. Okay. And I just expect the same in return. Okay. I can't help you if I don't know what's going on. And I want everybody, let's get through it together and pass this class on the first time. No need to repeat this class. Okay. It was really nice to meet everybody. Really nice to meet everybody. I'll stay on for any questions. I'm going to stop recording now, and then I'll see you guys next week. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Professor.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. You're welcome. Bye.